I am the team leader of the support and consulting team in the Enterprise Solutions division at Micronova. So I'm happy to be here to welcome you in the name of Micronova and Manage Engine. So some of you already know Micronova has been the exclusive German Manage Engine partner for about 20 years now, and we are pleased about the good cooperation with Manage Engine. My team is responsible for all the Manage Engine solutions, so I already heard a lot of the names in the session here today. So please feel free to contact us if you have any questions about Manage Engine products. Today's workshop deals with IT operations management. And we have 3 speakers from Manage Engine who will be happy to tell you more about it in 3 sessions and a question and answer session at the end. And the speakers are Suresh, a technical consultant with many years of experience in complex systems in the item area. And Suresh is also our technical account manager for European region. Then we have Bijoy, lead technical support in the area of application management, helping customers worldwide with implementations. And Aswin, an item product specialist focused on technical support for network and server management, especially for large installations. So guys, there will be a short break around about 11 a.m. We try to keep it as short as it is. And after the break, the session 2 and 3 follow. And from maybe 11:40 a.m., the 3 gentlemen will be happy to answer your questions. And I hope you enjoyed. Sorry, I hope you enjoyed the workshop. And hand over to our first speaker, Suresh.
Yeah, Christian, thanks so much. And can you give me a control? I don't see an option to take a broadcast.
Yes, I've made you the presenter. You can share the screen.
Yeah, I'm good.
Yeah.
Can you guys see my screen?
Yes.
Hello, everyone. This is Suresh Madurai. As said by Christian, I'm a technical consultant and I'm also a technical account manager for European and African continent. And I've been, handling op manager implementation and branding for the past 11 years. And today I'm going to talk about the item op manager, and following by me, like Vijay will take care of application manager. And after that, Ashwin will take care of the add-ons of item, which is like NetFlow, NCM, and all the other stuff. Without any delay, we'll just move on to the product. During the presentation, if you guys have any questions, you can just very well bring it on the chat, or end of the session, we will have a question and answer session. So we can, any questions, anything, you can ask me during the Q&A time, and I'll be glad to answer questions. Okay, let's begin with Op Manager. The Op Manager, it's a unified network monitoring system which helps us to monitor multiple parameters of network monitoring in a single application. So we call this as a unified network monitoring system. So when I say unified network monitoring system, we don't have to have multiple applications to monitor different set of parameters in the network monitoring, like network monitoring, server monitoring, application monitoring, configuration backup, or bandwidth monitoring. There are plenty of parameters which, as network administrator, would like to keep an eye on. We like to, keep an eye on the presentations. I'm sorry. Just give me 1 minute. Okay, can you guys see my screen?
Yes,
okay, perfect. Okay, as I was telling, like we have different types of monitoring we have to do, and with the help of Op Manager, we'll be able to do everything in a single application. We don't have to have multiple applications. So what are the monitors that we can do in Op Manager? So using Op Manager Plus, we can monitor all the network devices. When I say network devices, any routers, switches, firewall, printers, and servers, virtual machines. Anything can be monitored in the Op Manager using multiple protocols. So Op Manager uses like protocol like SNMP, WMI, API, and username and password for the Telnet and SSH. There are different types of credentials and protocol we use to monitor different set of devices. And also using Op Manager, we'll be able to do the bandwidth analysis. When I say bandwidth analysis, it will give you a deep, packet inspection, like which users consume more bandwidth, which application consumes more bandwidth, which IP address consumes more bandwidth. That level of detail we can see in the bandwidth analysis too. Likewise, we have something called firewall analysis. The firewall analyzer, which helps us to monitor all the firewalls related information, like what are the top users, what are the allowed URL, what are the denied URL, what are the rules being used, what are the rules are not used. So like that, in the activities of firewall, we can monitor from the firewall analyzer. And configuration manager, which helps you to take the network devices like routers, switches, firewall, configuration backup periodically in case if there is any configuration change or something. The network configuration manager will be able to alert you saying there is a critical changes being made in the network devices. An IP address and switch port mapper, which helps us to monitor the IP address usage. So you have like multiple subnets. You may have multiple range of IP address. So, but you may not be able to keep on track on how many IP address from each and every subnet has been used, or what are the scopes has been configured in the DHCP server. And what is the usage of scope? What are the reserved IP address? What are the unreserved IP address? All that parameters can be monitored using IP address manager. And switch port mapper, which helps us to monitor the switches used port. So when I say used port, what are the port? What is the port number? What is the if index value of the port number? And what is the IP address is connected to that? And that IP address belongs to which MAC address? And that MAC address reserve and forward NS lookup, whether it works or not, and what type of device it is, and what on which port it is connected. So all these detail, entire detail, we'll be able to see it from the switch port mapper. And storage monitoring. Storage monitoring, which helps us to monitor all the FC splits and RAID and all the lay tapes, everything we can monitor from the storage monitoring. And last, which is an application manager. Application manager, which helps us monitor all the applications in the usage, the application performance of the application. So there are plenty of applications we can monitor from the application performance. Application manager is the only tool we may have to install a plugin. All the other rest of the modules comes as a single bundle. So once we install Op Manager Plus, in that product we will see everything in a single bundle. And I'll talk about the network, the Op Manager stuff, and later on, Vijay will talk about the application manager, and after that, Ashwin will talk about the add-ons, so the firewall and all these stuff. Ashwin will talk about it. And in Op Manager, we may have like hundreds of devices has to be monitored in Op Manager. So it's not that easy to discover all the devices in a single shot. Whereas in Op Manager, we have plenty of options to discover the devices into monitoring. So what are the options like? We can simply discover the devices using SNMP, and we can discover the devices using WMI. We can discover VMs and all, we can discover through API. So we have an inbuilt API on it, so we can use the API to discover the VMs. Like that, we have plenty of protocols to discover. And the easy way to discover bulk devices, more number of devices to discover it, we can go by IP range or CIDR pattern, which is the subnets. Like you can give, 192.168.1/24. Depends on what subnet it is. So whatever IP address is reachable from that range of IP address or from the range of the CIDR, whatever IP is reachable, Op Manager will ping the device, and if it's reachable, it will get into discovery using the right credential. So before we do the discovery, we may have to create a credentials in Op Manager. So credential has a major role in Op Manager. So we have to go. So whatever devices that we are planning to discover and get it monitored in Op Manager, we can create the credentials first. So here we have plenty of, as I say, like we use different protocols for monitoring different varieties of devices. So SNMP, WM, SNMP V1, V2, V3, those are all the, SNMP we monitor for any network devices, whichever it supports, we can monitor it. And Windows WMI, we use it for monitoring the Windows devices. And Telnet and SSH, we use it for monitoring the Linux machines and VMware. So in case if you have a VMware, we can create a vSphere or vCenter credential here. So using this credential, Op Manager will be able to log into the mob, the vCenter mob, the management object. From there, it will be able to discover every single information, like what are the ESXi servers there, what are the virtual machines unconfigured each and every servers, and what are the data stored configured. Every detail will be discovered using the VMware. So like that, we have different types of credentials for the different types of devices. So we can create the credentials first, and then we can go to network discovery. So in the network discovery, so as I said, we have 4 different ways to discover the devices in the Op Manager. So first one, it is IP range. You can give the whatever range of IP address that you'd like to discover, you can provide it, and then you can select the corresponding credentials. So what are the devices would be available? So we can select the right credentials here. And then we can go ahead and do discover. The devices will get into the product and it will start monitoring. And subnet range. So as I said, you can give the range of the /subnet. So you can give 192.168.1/24 or class B, class C, whatever the class you can provide it. Whatever devices are reachable from that range of IP address, Op Manager will discover. Again, we have to select the credentials. And third one, which would be very easy, you can, if you have a trusted devices there in the Active Directory, you can provide the Active Directory and username and password detail, so that Op Manager will get into the Active Directory, and whatever trusted devices are there, Op Manager will discover everything. And last one, which would be most probably pretty easy one, if you know what are the devices that you would like to monitor in Op Manager, you can have the list of devices, and we have a sample file here. You can just simply open, and all the mandatory information are device name and display name. If you know the display name, you can use it. If you don't have a display name, you don't have to worry about it. Or type. If you have the type, you can provide the device type. Else, simply giving the device name itself sufficient enough. So IP address or the host name of the device, it's sufficient enough to discover the devices into Op Manager. So you can fill in all the detail and simply browse the file and go ahead and discover, select the credential, do a discovery. Op Manager will go ahead and discover all the devices which are there in the discovery process. And once it's been discovered, the next screen, what it will show you is, it will show you the list of devices which is being discovered. So from there, you have an option, whether you can add all the discovered devices or you can ignore something. So once you do that, based on whichever devices have been approved, those devices will get into monitoring. And the devices which is not given approval, so those devices will go as ignored device in case if you ignore it, or in case if you haven't do any action on that, those devices will be in the unapproved devices detail. So in future, if you want to monitor them, you can select and then you can simply click approve, so that the devices will go into monitoring. In case if you ignore the device during the discovery process and you want to add the device back again, here you have only one option, which is you can select and then remove the devices from the ignored device detail, and we can go ahead and re-add the devices. So once we do that, so devices will get into monitoring. So here the credential has a major role, and second important one, which would be the device template. So once we have the credentials are configured, so Op Manager will ping the device, and if the device is reachable, Op Manager will use the credential. So in case it can be a SNMP or WMI or any credential, Op Manager will use it. Let's take SNMP for example. Okay? If it is an SNMP based monitoring device, Op Manager will ping the device. Once it gets the response, it will do a SNMP ping, which is Op Manager will send a get request to the monitoring device asking what is the system object ID. So each and every device in networking will have its own system object ID. So the system object ID, op manager, the monitoring device will check the credential, and once the credential is validated, it will respond back saying, this is my system object ID. The system object ID is something which looks like this: Cisco, ACI, switch, or sometimes it will be like some series of numbers. So this is called system object ID. So the device will respond back saying, this is my system object ID. Op manager will go through that system object ID in the list of device template we have. So we have around like 11K device templates. Almost for all the devices, we have a device template in Op Manager. So Op Manager will go through, it will find out which device template matches with the object ID, and it will associate the device template so that the device will get categorized as Cisco 2900 or IS series or whatever, Windows 2008 or Cisco ACI Nexus 9000, whatever the model, it will automatically get associated. Along with that, by default, we will have a best practice monitors in the device template. So any device template, if you open, you will see some best monitors like this. So what are the default monitors that everybody would like to keep an eye on those devices? We will have the best set of monitors here. These monitors will also get associated with the device. Along with the device availability, Op Manager will start monitoring these performance metrics like CPU, memory, disk utilization, buffer, Cisco temperature. So whatever monitors is there, it will also start monitoring. And in case anything goes wrong, Op Manager will alert you. So the device template is the second, major role in the Op Manager, because without device template, Op Manager will not be able to identify what device type it is or what is the make and model. It will not be able to identify if we don't have a device template. Why I keep saying that one is, it's very important because when you discover a device, the device can be discovered as unknown. I'll show you some examples. So this is unknown. If you look at this device, there is no like type, there is no category, there is no vendor. So it's all says unknown because it can be due to two reasons. One, the given credentials. So the username and password which we used during the discovery might not be the right one, or it might not have a privilege rights to discover the devices. So if that is the scenario, we can simply go to the apply credential, select whatever credential it is, do a test credential. It will show us whether the credential works or not. In case if it does not work, we need to fix the credential and do a rediscovery of the device. The device will get into right position. So if you get the device type and everything. In case if the credential works fine, but still we don't see the device category, type and name and all the stuff, then the other possibility would be there is no valid device template for that credential, for that particular system object ID. So Op Manager got the system object ID, but when try to associate a device template, there is no device template associated on that particular object ID. In that case, the device will go as unknown. So in the second scenario, we can simply add a device template. You can just give a name, whatever the device template name, you can give a name, select the vendor, whatever the vendor, and what type of device it is. So here you will query the device. So the device which we discovered, but it got discovered as unknown, you can select the device, select the right credential and query the device. Op Manager will go ahead and query the system object ID and it will add something like this. So you will see some numbers here. So which is the system object ID of the device. Then we can add it and we can save it. Then we can rediscover the device. Device will come into the right discovery with the right information like type, model, and vendor, everything. You will see it. So device template has a major role. First one is the credential, and second one will be the device template. Likewise, we do have a template for interfaces also. In Op Manager, we have device template and interface template. So device template, we use it for discover the devices. Interface template, we use it to discover the interfaces. So by default, if you do a network discovery like range of IP address or CIDR or a CSV file format, Op Manager will not discover the interfaces in case, even though if the devices are like routers and switches and firewall, Op Manager will not do a interface discovery. it will just hold the interface discovery. Later on, we need to come and do a separate interface discovery in order to avoid unwanted interfaces to get discovered in Op Manager. So if we just, globally discover the interfaces, there are so many interfaces to be possible, and not all the interfaces are critical interfaces to monitor. So you may get like unwanted alerts. Like, let's take an example. Like we call it, like there are 3 layers of network, like edge layer and a distributed layer and core layer. So core layer and distributed layer are very critical devices, but edge switches are something where the end users, employees, staff, they connect their laptop on day in and day out, they will remove the laptop. So those interfaces will go operationally up during the morning when they plug in the laptop or turn on the desktop, and when they shut down the desktop or remove the laptop from the patch panel, the interfaces operationally goes down. So those are all like known behavior. So if we discover like interfaces globally, all those interfaces will also get discovered, and during the day in and day out, you will get plenty of alerts saying the interface is operationally down, which is default behavior. So to avoid such scenarios, we have a separate interface discovery. So in the interface discovery, we'll make it like simple. We can simply go to the interface discovery, and you can select, give a name, and you have plenty of criteria. So you have plenty of criteria. You can select the criteria and you can provide the information. So let's take administratively up, and it should be operationally up, and interface name or interface description. Whatever value that you think it's valid, you can provide those information, and then you can discover the interfaces, so that only limited interfaces get discovered, which are critical interfaces, and that we need to monitor in case if anything goes wrong. Op Manager will alert you. Rather, discovering all the interfaces, that will create a lot of unwanted alerts. So for that, we have a separate interface discovery in Op Manager. And there is one more thing which we have a key point, which is a device discovery rule engine. There are certain things like, let's take, there are servers. I have plenty of servers, and all these servers are running with some critical service. Okay, there are some critical service. That service has to be also monitored when the server gets discovered. So if you have some scenarios, so we don't have to wait for the device to get discovered, and later on we can go into the device and add the services. We don't have to do it. In Op Manager, we have something called device rule engine. So the device rule engine will help you to do certain things during the discovery itself. Let's take an example. If you have a MS SQL server and you want to monitor the MS SQL metrics, this is one of the examples. So Op Manager, during the discovery, it will check if there is any process name called SQL server.exe. If there is a process SQL server.exe is running, Op Manager will automatically associate the MS SQL services monitors into the device during the discovery. Likewise, in case if you want to add anything, like if it is a server, if the category is equals to server, and the action should be, there is a service, there is a storage service. If it is a server, automatically associate this storage service into the server monitoring. So we don't have to go into the device later once it's discovered and do certain things manually. So there are plenty of actions and plenty of criteria and plenty of actions we can do it during the discovery itself. We can just create it before the discovery and it will automatically happen, or we can discover the devices and later on, like I can associate. I have a dedicated notification profile for server. Any server that should go to that particular notification profile. If you have something like that, you can do it. You can create any actions, and there is an option rerun. You can rerun it. You can select rerun, select all the devices, and then run. So whatever devices matches with the criteria, the action will take into place. So whatever the action, like associate or Windows servers or associate that device to the notification profile or something, we can do it by simply creating a rule engine rather getting into the device and manually doing those activities. And so in Op Manager, we have network discovery. So network discovery, which helps us to discover any network devices like routers, switches, firewall, anything we can discover. Whereas if it is the virtual machine, we won't recommend you to use the the network discovery, because during the network discovery, even though if it is a virtual machine, Op Manager will not be able to use the API, because we use just the protocol WMI or XNMP to discover the devices in the network discovery. So even though if it is a VM, the device will get discovered as a virtual machine. To avoid that, we have a dedicated discovery process for virtual discovery. So virtual infrastructure monitoring, the virtual discovery will help you to monitor the virtualized infrastructure, which is we have VMware, we have Zen, we have Citrix, we have Nutanix, we have dedicated discovery process for the VMs. So each discovery, the virtualization discovery, will have its own vendor-specific API on the backend. So during the discovery, you can discover, in case if it is a VM, you can discover using the vCenter, or you can go by the ESXi server. So ESXi server, you have to do each and every individual ESXi server one after another. But the vCenter, which will simplify the discovery process by discovering all the ESXi server and associated VMs and also the data store, everything will get discovered in a single discovery. So likewise, we have Hyper-V, we have a dedicated Zen and a Nutanix. So if you have any of these virtual machine, you can use this discovery process, which will discover the entire infrastructure monitoring, and also it will automatically associate corresponding VMs related monitors to the devices, so that it will get monitor and show you something. So once if you discover it Hyper-V using the Hyper-V discovery, or VMware using the VMware, along with the regular monitor, CPU, memory, disk utilization, other critical monitors, it will also add all the VI web service monitors. So all the VI web service monitor you will have it for the VM. So it will be always recommended to do the virtualization discovery using the virtual infrastructure monitoring. And we have monitors for everything, as I showed you, like Zen, Nutanix, and Citrix also for the VMware we have. And in Op Manager, we do also have something called WAN and VoIP monitoring. So most of the organizations, they will have a VoIP phones and IP phones, and they may have a uplink between one location to the other location. They would like to keep an eye on what is the performance of those metrics, like how is the call quality of the VoIP, how is the WAN monitoring, the round trip time between the one location to other location, what is the round trip time, how would the performance, everything, if you want to know. But this is only a Cisco proprietary protocol, so this works only if you have a Cisco devices. But once you have, like, you can configure the WAN RTT, which is round trip time. So you can configure the WAN round trip time in Op Manager. So Op Manager will monitor the performance of it's called IPSLA. So here, so all it does is it will create a monitor in the monitoring device on the Cisco device. Cisco device will simulate a traffic, which is something like a VoIP packet, or it will simulate a traffic which is something like a WAN packet or video call performance. So it will simulate a traffic, it will send it to the destination, and it receives the packet back, and based on that response, it will calculate the call quality of the VoIP calls and performance of the WAN RTT and the performance of the video call performance. So it will do everything, and you can configure thresholds in case if it's violated, in case the call quality is low, or video conference call it's low, or the performance. But the latency, packet loss, that is high on the WAN RTT, it will alert you, saying based on whatever configuration that we do in the VoIP performance metric. And threshold configuration. So we have configured, we discover the devices, and Op Manager, find out what type of device it is, and Op Manager associated the device template to it, and there are lists of predefined monitors are there. But Op Manager will keep an eye on it. It will monitor them but it won't alert you unless or until we set a threshold. Let's take like Op Manager monitor the CPU utilization of every service, but we haven't configured any threshold. Even though if the CPU goes 100%, Op Manager will not alert you if no threshold is configured for the monitors. So in Op Manager, we have two types of threshold configuration. One, which is a manual one. We can go to the device template, we can edit the device template and provide the threshold values. So whatever threshold that you feel like, by default it would be like 80, 85, 90, which is the standard. 80, which is attention, 85 trouble. If anything goes above 90, would be critical. So this is something like the standard metric. In case if you have some set of threshold in your mind, you can manually configure them. So Op Manager will alert you based on the threshold violation. And we do have other one, which is for 3 particular set of monitors: CPU, memory, and device response time. So we have AI. So we have an artificial intelligence configured on the product. So Op Manager will keep monitor the devices, and it will keep understand the trend of the usage for CPU, memory, and device response time. It will find out the trend, and it will understand the pattern. Let's take like every Monday, the CPU utilization would be like 40%. Tuesday, it will be like 50%. So Thursday, it will be like 70%. Something like it will understand the pattern, and based on that, it will set the threshold. So it won't be something like Monday till Friday, it will be like all 80%. It can be variable. So some days the business might be in peak, like you will get like more usage on that. Some days like the working hours or something would be less. So it varies, right? Based on the variation, Op Manager will automatically set the threshold, and you can configure the variation threshold in Op Manager. So this is the adaptive threshold. So CPU, memory, disk utilization, it will by default will enable if you enable this. And these are the advanced settings. So let's take the variation. Every Monday, the usage would be 40%. If it goes more than 44%, then Op Manager will alert you saying it's attention. If it goes more than like 46%, it will alert you saying trouble. If it goes more than like 50%, it will alert you saying critical. So it will set the pattern, and based on this variation, Op Manager will alert you for the thresholds for this deviation based on what we configured here. So this you can changeable. So if you think like 10% deviation between from the 40% to the 10%, if you think it's less, you can increase it or you can decrease it. You can do anything, but you can save it. Once it's done, by default, you don't have to go to any device. If you enable it for all the devices, whichever devices that has been monitoring for CPU, memory, and response time, will be automatically enabled thresholds for them. But the other one, which we have to manually do, you need to go to the device. You need to go to the device template. If you haven't configured the adaptive threshold, so we have to go, and then in the device template, we have an option to edit the threshold, and you can manually give whatever threshold that you feel like. So 80, 85, 90, and rearm, which is if it goes less than this, clear the alarm. So if it's above 80, create an alarm. If it goes less than 79, just go ahead and clear the alarm. Like that, you can configure for all the devices, and then you can save and associate it. So the devices will have the threshold configured. So you can just go ahead and do save and associate. So whatever devices are there in that particular device template, which is Windows 2016. So all the Windows 2016 devices will configured with whatever threshold we have configured. So we have two different types. So most of the customers recently, they're using the AI, the adaptive threshold. And still, there are customers who are using the old pattern manually. And also, we are working on an enhancement on the device template. So once that device template is associated, so right now, so if it is like Windows 2016, we have to get onto the Windows 2016 and then configure the threshold. And Windows 2008, there would be different template. You have to go to the Windows 2008 template and configure Windows 2008 R2. So like that, we have different templates right now. So it's a little bit of like manual work. We are working on the pattern where you can configure For Windows, one single template, and then you can associate whatever monitor you want, associate whatever threshold you want, and then you can push it across all the flavors. It doesn't matter whether it's 2008 or 2008 R2 or 2012. So you can associate the template to irrespective of what flavor it is. So it will configure it for globally for all the devices. We are working on it. Most probably it will be available by this year or beginning of next year. And agent-based monitoring. In Op Manager, whatever we have seen so far, it is an agentless monitoring. We use some protocol, SNMP, WMI, API, ping. These are all like protocol which we use to monitor the devices for the monitoring purpose. Whereas there might be some secure network. So there is that secure network, ICMP or SNMP or WMI, nothing can be opened. It's the DMZ zone, so will not be able to open. But still, we would like to monitor the devices which are there in that particular demilitarized zone location. We can do using the agent-based monitoring. So we can install agent on the devices. So whatever devices that you would like to monitor from that secure network, you can install the agent on it. Agent will monitor and it will send it as a logs to the Op Manager install server. Op Manager will collect those logs and then it will monitor the device's performance metrics. CPU, memory, service monitor, whatever it is, we can do that using the logs from the agent-based monitoring. So in case not only for secure network, there are plenty of customers, they would like to go for agent-based monitoring for security reason. They don't want to open like multiple ports. Whereas agent-based monitoring, we have to open SNMP port, WMI port. WMI, there are some ports which is open ports. So we'll not be able to guess which port it will open. So we will suggest you to open a big range of open ports. So they might feel like it's not secure, so they won't go for agent-based monitoring. And also for a secure network, they will go for agent-based monitoring. And not only the CPU utilization stuff, in Op Manager, we do have other type of monitoring. So we have application-based monitoring. I'm not talking about the real application manager. In Op Manager, we have some predefined applications monitoring, like MS SQL monitoring, Active Directory monitoring, Exchange monitoring. So we have some predefined application monitors are there. So we will not be able, we cannot expect any enhancement on it. So that is why we are bringing in application manager here. But these are all in case if this is sufficient enough for me to monitor the MS SQL or Active Directory or Exchange, you can use these monitors. All you need to do is select which monitors that you'd like to associate, configure the threshold, and apply the configuration. If you have a domain controller, select and save. So whatever configuration we made here will be pushed into the device, and Op Manager will start monitor the Active Directory performance also on that particular device. Like that, you can do it for MS SQL, Exchange, and all the stuff. But as I said, there won't be any enhancement. This is something predefined one. So whatever we have here, that's it. Anything further like related to application related monitoring, we have a dedicated application manager for that. And also we can monitor Windows services. So in case if you have a critical Windows service, and if that goes down, that may have a big impact on your network. So you like to keep an eye on that Windows service. We can monitor the Windows service here. So you can just go ahead and click add, select which device that you'd like to fetch that service from, and then select the right credential, go next. It will go and fetch all the services which are running on that particular server. You can select which service that you'd like to monitor, and here you need to set generate alarm. So in case if the service goes down first time or second time, like consecutive time, Op Manager will monitor the service based on the server monitoring interval. By default, the server monitoring interval would be 15 minutes. And every 15 minutes, when it checks the device availability, and also check the services. What are the services are there? It will check all the services availability as well. So in that case, when it checks for the first time, if it goes down, Op Manager will alert you if you configure 1. In case if you configure 2, it will wait for next 15 minutes and it will poll the device again. And if the device service is still down, then Op Manager will alert you. So something like that, consecutive time when the device goes down. And also you can tell Op Manager to take an action. Either you can tell Op Manager to restart the service, or you can tell the Op Manager to restart the complete server in case if the service goes down. So you can configure that, or no action taken, just send me an email or alert, generate an alert. That's sufficient. You can do it. So you can save and associate. So whatever service that we have selected, it will associate it to the device, and also the service will be listed as a template here. In future, if you want to associate the same service to a different devices, you can select the service and then you can move the devices to which you want to associate the service, and you can save it for all these servers. The windows will be added. And likewise, we have plenty of VM events. So when I say even VMs, like VM relocated or VM migration, VM power off, power on, any event that you'd like to turn on, you have multiple VMs here. And also how we can monitor the service, the same way we can monitor any critical process. In case if that process goes down, that may have a big impact on your applications, you can monitor the process here. Files monitor. In case you have a critical file, that file should not be deleted, or the file should not be edited, or file should not be removed. So whatever you want to monitor, you can monitor the file here, and also you can do a folder monitor. So file, it's a individual single file. Folder monitor, you will monitor the folder, and in case if you want to monitor a subfolder, you can monitor the subfolder and the folder inside the file. So whatever files inside. So let's take in case if the if that folder contains TXT file or PDF file, I need an alert notification. If the files, all the files, size and age goes more than the configured threshold, I need an alert. Or the file count, if the file count goes more than 100 or 200, just alert me. Or if it goes less than 100 or something like that, you can configure. So Op Manager will monitor and it will alert you. And regular service monitor, so TCP port check. So in case if you have any critical service that you want to monitor, irrespective of what server, what device it is running, you can just add the service by clicking add and provide the service name, what port number it's running on, and give a timeout like 10 seconds, 15 seconds, something like that. Op Manager will do a telnet and it will do a port check. And if the port is open, Op Manager considers the service is up. If the port is not accessible, then Op Manager would consider the service is down. So like that, you have URL monitor. In case you have a business critical URL that goes down, it may have a big impact on your network. You can configure that URL in Op Manager. Op Manager will keep an eye on it, and in case the URL is not accessible, it will immediately alert you. And network path analysis. So we have seen the WAN RTT for Cisco proprietary code, right? So that only works for Cisco devices. So network path analysis, which we built it for any devices, irrespective of whatever device it is. You can simply create a new path with the host name of the destination, wherever the device that we need to check the quality, the port number, give a path name, and how often you want to check the performance. You can be going through and then save it. Op Manager will check it. So this is for the non-Cisco devices. For Cisco devices, in case if you have, you can go for the IPSLA WAN RTT monitoring. In case non-Cisco devices, you can go for this. And event log rules, in case if you have an event log and a critical event, and if that happens, that may have a big impact on the servers, or that may have a big security issues, you can create the event log. So by default, we have plenty of events. In case if the event which you're looking for is not available here, you can simply go ahead and add your event. You can provide whatever the log file name it comes from. You can select that and give a rule name and whatever the event ID. So event ID, you can get it from the event viewer. Give the ID, and in case those category of this is concerned, you can provide all the detail. It just matter the event ID. So if the event ID appears, you need to get notified. You can simply leave everything blank. You can provide the event ID alone. In case there are some event, the event ID may be same, but the message maybe differs. The message might be like, just for an example, event ID is same and login success. And I don't want any alert for login success, but I want an alert for login failure. If somebody trying to log in and if it's failure, I want. So in that case, you can provide the event ID and whatever the match text here. So login failure. So you can provide the login failure. So only when the event ID along with that match text is there, then only Op Manager will alert you so that you can monitor any events. And Op Manager can also act like a SNMP processor, trap processor. In case if you have a critical event, like let's take a spanning tree, or if the spanning tree port changes, the status changes from designated to block or block to designated. So the complete traffic may be get impact, or root bit changes. Some new device connected into the network and root bit changes. So which may have a big impact on your network. So we cannot wait Op Manager to pull the device during the monitoring interval. So in that scenario, you can configure the devices to send SNMP trap in case anything related to spanning tree, send an SMS. If there's anything related to OSPF, send an SMS. Send a SNMP trap. Anything related to BGP, send a SMS trap, SNMP trap to the op manager server. So we don't have to wait for op manager. Those monitors can be monitored using op manager, just like a regular monitor. But it takes time, right? Like if there is a OSPF network change, or the neighborhood changed, so which may have a big impact on the network. We cannot wait op manager for 15 minutes or 20 minutes to go the device and get the output and then show it. During the time, it will have a big impact. If you configure the device to send SNMP trap, the trap will reach immediately to op manager, and op manager will alert you saying there's a neighborhood change or the area change or autonomous system change, anything, whatever we configure as BGP or OSPF or spanning tree. Based on that, it will immediately send a trap. Op manager will pick it up and it will alert you immediately. Op manager can also act like a syslog server. So it's not a typical syslog server where it stores all these syslog messages. It will read the message, and if you have any match content and based on login fail, fail login. If the syslog rule contains this message login, fail login, it will immediately alert you. So like that, you can create any number of syslog messages you want. You can create it, but remember, like it will not store the syslog. It will drop it as soon as it's read the message. It will drop the syslog, and also you can do a script monitor. So in case if you want to monitor any script, you can add the script monitor in Op Manager. And IPSLA, which we have already seen, Cisco proprietary protocol, and monitoring system where you have the adaptive threshold. So apart from performance metric like CPU, memory, disk utilization, and all the stuff which comes along with the device template, Op Manager can also do the additional performance metrics for network devices. And those are the other monitors. And groups. So in Op Manager, we have option to create a groups for two different things. One for devices. So devices group can be used for plenty of reasons. So let's take, I've created a group and there is a downtime. So there are a group of servers, and those group of servers go under maintenance during certain time. You can create a group using those servers, and then in Op Manager we have something called downtime scheduler. So you can add a downtime scheduler, device downtime scheduler, selecting that group. So that during the start of the downtime, Op Manager will stop monitoring those devices, and end of the the downtime, Op Manager will start monitor the devices again. It's because those devices will be down for a known reason. So it can be patch update, or it can be OS update or something like that. We know the devices will go down during the certain time, and Op Manager will keep monitoring them, and then it will alert you saying the devices are down, which we know. So we can create a group of those devices, and we can use it here in downtime scheduler, or while creating a notification profile, you can use the groups, or while push configuration, you can use the group of devices. So like that, groups, you can use it for plenty of reasons. So multiple reasons, you can use the group option. So likewise, you have option to create a interface group. So the device group, it's for taking action on the devices. Interface group. So we have three set of critical monitors for interfaces. One is the interfaces up and down status, both admin and operational status up and down, and the interfaces utilization, the usage of the interfaces, and the last two options, which is error and discard packet. So these are the 4 performance metrics we do for interfaces. In case if you think there are some interfaces, it doesn't require those monitors, you can create a interface group using some performance metrics, and then for those interface group, you can disable the monitors. So once you disable the monitor, here, so for that particular group of interfaces, I do not want error packet and discard packet to be monitored. Just an example. So you can disable that, and you can go and save and apply. So it will show in the next page. It will show you all the options where you will have an option to select groups. So you can select the interface group and then save it, so that only for those group of interfaces, the error and discard monitoring will be disabled. So like that, you can use device group and the interface groups for multiple purpose. User management. In Op Manager, we have like plenty of we have like AD, we have Radius, we have local authentication, we have simul authentication, we have different types of authentication. And by default in Op Manager, we have administrator and operator. Those are the two set of users. So administrator will have a full function. They can log into Op Manager, they can do anything. An operator, they will have only read-only access. They will not be able to do any changes or anything. They can log in and then they can view things in Op Manager, but they cannot do anything. The third option, which would be add role option. So in Op Manager, we have an option to add a role. So you can give for that particular user where they can make changes and where they cannot make changes. You can define that. So you can give a read access, read and write access for where you want them to perform, take some actions where they want to do some changes. You can give them read and write. Where you don't want them to do any changes, you can give only read access there. Or in case you can even go with no access. So that based on that rule, you can add your profile, and then while creating a user, you can give this role, either administrator or operator, or you can give the third role which you have created, so that based on how we created the user can access the Op Manager accordingly. In alarms and notification, as I said, Op Manager, once it started monitoring the devices, by default, Op Manager will create alarms. In case if the device goes down, Op Manager will alert you saying the device is down. When the device goes down for the first time, it could be attention. When the device misses 3 consecutive code, which would be trouble. And if the device misses 5 consecutive code, which would be critical. So Op Manager will send you an alert. And based on the threshold configuration, Op Manager will alert you saying the device threshold is being violated, and all this stuff we can do it. So that is alarms what Op Manager generated in Op Manager itself. But we cannot keep an eye on Op Manager always to see if there is any alarm. So we need a notification option. So that the alarm has to trigger somewhere to reach the network administrator or system administrator to know there is a critical alarm generated. So for that, in Op Manager, we have plenty of options. We have email-based SMS. We have email and notification. We have SMS gateway-based SMS, and we have plenty of options in Op Manager. So not just one, we have multiple options. Email, normal email, which we use email server to send it. Email-based SMS, in case if your service provider has a relay, they can use the email-based SMS. And SMS, in case if you have SMS gateway, we can integrate that with Op Manager, and Op Manager can send a SMS. Chat, which is a Slack. There is a chat channel called Slack. We can integrate Slack with Op Manager, so Op Manager can send a chat notification on the Slack. There is a Slack. I'll show you where to do that. And run a system command or run a program. In case you want to run some back file or program or a script, we can use these 2 options. And log a ticket, we have integration with ServiceNow, Jira, Service Desk plus Cloud, Service Desk plus on-prem. So we can integrate all these 4 products with Op Manager, so that you can log a ticket with whatever service that we have. So log a ticket, basically, if there is anything goes wrong, it will open up a ticket in the help desk. And web alarm, which is just the bell at the top, then blink. And syslog profile, how we receive syslog messages, the same way we can configure Op Manager to send the alarm as a syslog message to some syslog server, in case if you have a dedicated syslog server. So we can convert it as a syslog message and send it to a server. Same way we can convert the alert in Op Manager, the alarms in Op Manager as a SMS, the SMTP trap, and then send it to your trap processor. In case if you have a dedicated trap processor, Op Manager can convert that as a SNMP trap alert and then send it to your trap processor. And Invoke Webhook, which is a customized one. In case if you have like Microsoft Teams or you have anything third-party tool where you want to integrate that with Op Manager for a notification alert, you can do that in Op Manager. These are the set of notification profile we have in Op Manager. So notification profile, as I said, like everything are same. So the first option which would differ, like when you go to the notification. So here you will give an, email address. If in case a phone number, if in case it's SMS, here you will give a SMS. In case if it is a log a ticket, you will open all the log a ticket options. The rest of the other settings would be the same one. It will ask you for the devices detail and what are the criteria. I'll show you just a quick one. So here we have to select what are the alerts that has to send as an email or SMS or whatever it is. You can select it. So I've just randomly select all, but you can go through it and you can select, because you may have multiple system administrators. So someone may be for server, someone may be for network team, someone may be for IT operations, someone may be for like applications. So like that, you will have a different set of administrators. So based on which you can select the criteria, and then you can configure it to the right person. So the right person will receive the right alarm notification. You can do it. And here also you will find the groups. So when you create a group, it will show you all the groups here. So you can select and then you can. So groups will be there in plenty of places. And then you will go next. And this can be applied for 24/7, irrespective of what time it is. Op Manager will send you an alert, email or SMS, whatever it is. In case if you do not want to receive like 24/7, I work between like Monday to Friday, and my working hours is like 9 to 6. That is the case. You can define your time period here. So whenever you want to receive the email notification, you can select it, and then so only during these days and these at the time, Op Manager will alert you. Rest of the time, someone might be there, so it will send it to other person. And delay trigger, which is just wait for 5 minutes. If somebody acknowledges the alarm, do not send an email to them, so you can avoid it. And the trigger interval, which is reoccurring. So there are certain alerts which may be critical, and once the email is sent, it won't regenerate the email. So for those set of alarms, you can create a reoccurring information, so that the reoccurring will keep check that alarm, and in case if the issue is not fixed, Op Manager will keep sending you. Like we can set it like every 10 minutes, once check it, and then restrict number of time like 10 times. So even if it is after 10 times, the issue is not still fixed, ignore it. Don't send me an email. That you can configure your reoccur email. Then go next. You can simply save it. Give a profile and save. So the same process for every other notification profile. Only thing differs is for email we provided email. For SMS, we will give a phone number. For log a ticket, we will select the service desk plus or whatever the help desk we have. We will select that service desk plus, ServiceNow, Jira, or service desk plus cloud. We will select that. So every other process is the same: the criteria and then devices, and then 24/7 or selected time, and then save it. That is the different types of notification we have in Op Manager. And this is one important key feature, which is workflow, IT automation. So workflow, which helps you to do certain things, automatically. Instead of you log into the device and do some changes, you can do it. So I'll show you a good example. So we saw like folder monitor, right? Let's take like if the folder is full, if the folder it's the number of files is increased or something like that, you can tell Op Manager to go ahead and rename the folder, and whatever the location is there, you can provide that. And then create a new folder there. So once you rename, create a new folder with the same name. And then send an email or clear the alarm. So whatever alarm it's generated, right? Go ahead and clear the alarm. Then you can go next. You can select on which devices this has to be applied, and it can be done in 2 ways. One alarm based, another one is schedule based. So what we have seen right now is alarm based, so we'll go with alarm based. So I've received the folder monitor alert. So once I received it, I need to go ahead and rename the folder, create a new folder with the same name, and clear the alarm. So this is the process. So we can do it and then go next and then give a name, save it. So whenever this folder monitoring is happening, like the folder is full or the folder is, the number of files goes high, Op Manager will automatically perform this action. Not only that, like you have service monitor. So you're monitoring a service. And in case if the service goes down, you can tell Op Manager to go ahead and restart the service here. So whatever service that you need to restart, you can restart it. You can even restart the server, or resume, stop, or you can go ahead and VMware, like power on the VM, power off the VM. So like that, you can create your complete workflow. You can design your workflow, and then you can associate it. You can do it in two ways. One, it's alarm specific. The next one would be the schedule specific. So in case if you have something scheduled for IT automation has to be done, you can do it using the scheduled base. So that's one of the good feature which helps you to simplify some process and stop a lot of manual work. So you don't have to go manually and do those stuffs. Op Manager itself will do it on its own. And in Op Manager, we have like different varieties of versions. The professional edition, what we have seen right now, so which is like single installation, and on single location it will monitor everything. Enterprise edition, which is like a distributed edition. So in case if you have more number of devices where the professional edition cannot be handled, or you have a different location, you have offices in different locations, and you want to monitor the different devices in different locations, you can go for enterprise edition, where it will have central server and multiple probes. So you can install multiple probes on each location, and central server maybe in your head office. So all the probes will monitor and send that information to the central server. So single installation from central server, you will be able to manage all the probes, though they are physically in a different location. And the alert, email profile, the configuration, threshold configuration, everything, you can simply do it from the centralized server, so that you don't have to manually do it on each and every probe. Or if you would like to keep it on different probes, also you can do it. So that is enterprise edition, and we have MSP edition for the MSPs. And in case if customer would like to go for a cloud-based Op Manager, we have something for Site 24/7, which helps you to do the cloud-based Op Manager model. And we have plenty, but within given 1 hour, I just try to keep it with the key points. If you want to talk, like if you want to take a training on Op Manager, probably you can take 3-4 hours for the complete training. But I've tried to cover all the key features of Op Manager today. Hope this session was useful to you guys. In case if you guys have any questions, as of now, Fresh Service is not with Op Manager. We have only Service Desk Plus, ServiceNow, Jira, and ServiceNow Cloud, Microsoft Teams. So these are all the options. Slack, which is for the chat, I told you. Alarmsman, which is for integrating multiple applications with Alarmsman, will help you to find out the root cause analysis. And Microsoft Teams can be installed. So these are all the options we have. But in case if you want Fresh Service, you can use the Invoke. What is the purpose that you'd like to integrate that with Fresh Service with Op Manager for ticketing? In case if it is ticketing, probably you can use the Invoke, or you can use the IT automation or workflow. In case if you have a third-party ticketing tool, you can use this. With all this. So send an email or something someday, you can do it for Fresh Service. But as of now, the Fresh Service is not option to integrate, but you will get it soon. You will definitely get that soon. Any other questions? If no questions, I'll just hand it over to one of my colleagues, Bijay. He will be taking care of the application manager, and once he's done with that, probably Ashwin will take care of the other modules like stuff. Thank you, guys. Thanks for your time. Bijay, it's all yours.
Yeah, thank you, Suresh. So guys, we'll just take a 5 minutes quick break, so you guys can grab a coffee or something and be back, so that we can start in another 5 minutes. Yeah, hi. I think you guys are back. So we'll go ahead and start in the next session. So my name is Bijoy. I'll be your presenter for the next few minutes. Hope you guys are able to hear me.
Yes, Vijay.
Oh, perfect. Thank you, Suresh. All right. So on today's topic, I'll be discussing about how you can bridge your visibility gaps in your hybrid cloud environment. So why did we decide to talk about cloud today? Based on a recent study done by IDC, it says like 82% of the German companies are planning to migrate their IT environment into cloud. Also, the recent ISG report says like 70% of the German enterprises are planning to increase their investment in monitoring and managing their cloud platform. So this shows the German companies are very much interested in migrating to cloud. So we thought like we can show you what are the strengths we have in cloud monitoring so that you can make use of applications manager in your cloud journey. So this is how a typical hybrid cloud infrastructure looks like, right? Where you can get services from different cloud vendors. So let's say you can get the VMs from Azure, application from AWS, storage from Google Cloud, etc. So based on the respective vendor's strength, you can get the services from them and integrate them together to work based on your convenience. So the advantage of migrating to hybrid cloud is it's very easy for you to deploy your application. Also, if you want to scale up or scale down any particular resources, you can easily do that in the cloud. You have that flexibility. Also, it's pretty cost efficient when compared to the on-prem solution. So you don't have to keep a physical machine and keep a guy to manage it physically. So these are some of the advantages why people are adopting to cloud. However, the challenge comes is when you have a problem and if you want to troubleshoot that in a hybrid cloud infrastructure, if a user reports a problem, it's very difficult for an IT admin to find where exactly the issue is. He have to maybe log into the respective vendor monitoring portal, analyze each VMs or web services or servers. It's like finding a needle in a haystack. It's very difficult for the IT team to find the problem. They have to invest multiple man hours to find where exactly the issue is and what's hampering the user experience. So that's where having a tool like Application Manager can help them in this journey. So I'll just show you how you can track the performance of your cloud application using App Manager. So this is how Application Manager monitors your cloud infrastructure. Let's say each cloud vendor provide their own native monitors. Like you have CloudWatch from AWS, you have the Azure Monitor, Google Cloud Operations Suite, and OCI monitoring from Oracle. So these vendors expose all the metrics in these portals. Where Application Manager, we use our REST API and collect the key important metrics that is needed for your monitoring. And using our own proprietary Java code, we process all this information in the metric aggregator and then display the key important values needed for your monitoring in a beautiful way. Also, Application Manager has the intelligence and the machine learning options included within the product, using which you can trigger alerts from the product like SMS or email, or even if you have a ticketing solution, you can directly raise a ticket in your ticketing portal. And similarly, we have used our artificial intelligence in generating multiple reports and dashboards, which are already inbuilt within the product. So that can be used for your future analysis. And application manager can also be used as a plugin within your op manager, so that you can have a single product, a single console to manage your entire IT infrastructure. And of course, we also have a mobile app, so it's very easy for you to check what is the status of your device wherever you go. And these are some of the widely popular cloud service available in the market that you can monitor using Applications Manager, such as like Amazon Web Service, Microsoft Azure, Google Cloud, Oracle Cloud, Office 365, Kubernetes, Docker, and OpenShift. So inside Azure Cloud Monitoring, so these are some of the services that App Manager can monitor. Let's say you can monitor your Azure virtual machines, service bus, SQL and Postgres databases, app or web services, standard and storage premium accounts, of course, like Kubernetes load balancer and Azure billing. So many ask, why do we not need to monitor the billing? Why is it so important? In Applications Manager, we believe the customers should have the control over the monitored devices, also the cloud expense. So you have allocated certain budget for your cloud monitoring or cloud process, right? So in App Manager, by monitoring your billing, we can show you the each and individual application and services that are running inside your cloud environment and how much charge is being used by each cloud. So by analyzing this data, if you have any retired application or maybe some application might have been used just for testing purpose, but it might have not been removed from your cloud service, which is still being charged by your cloud vendor. So these type of application can be easily identified and removed by saving cost to your company. Also, we can set a threshold in Application Manager so that when the cloud expense is nearing, you can receive an alert so that it doesn't overshoot your budget. And we have recently added like these 8 different services in Azure Cloud Service Monitoring. This was added like last month. So why am I saying this is in Application Manager, we have a very strong R&D team, which normally keep track of the industry standards, talk to the market leaders, and also we listen to our customers. So by listening to them, we try to add the current marketing trend monitors or services for monitoring. Also, the future requirements of the customers' application and requirements are taken care. So if you have seen like Application Manager as a tool has been in the market for nearly 20 years now. So surviving a 2 decade in the market, it's a huge deal, right? So that's where having the strong R&D team has helped us to add the newly required monitor types and the booming monitor informations into the product. So I'll quickly take you to the App Manager portal. So you can access this web page, demo.appmanager.com, even from your device. It's accessible over the internet. So once you go to the monitors tab, here you can find the list of technologies that Application Manager supports. So we currently support more than 150 plus technologies. And if you scroll down, you can find the list of cloud applications that are supported. So as I said, you can find the services that are supported inside Amazon or Google Cloud, Office 365, Oracle, etc. And if you want to understand what we are monitoring inside each service, you can get inside the particular monitors to find the detailed information. So I'm not going to explain each and every service in detail now because the 15 minutes might not be enough. So I would request you to register for a one-on-one demo so that I can take your requirement and provide you a personalized session. So moving to the next topic, we'll discuss how you can use the artificial intelligence and machine learning to help you quickly analyze and troubleshoot the problem. I'll start with this scenario. Let's say if an alert is triggered, what normally happens? It will be sent to your L1 team or the L1 technician to take care of it, right? Let's say if you are receiving multiple alerts, you are bombarded with lots of alerts, then there is high possibility that the technician can overlook one or two alerts because there could be manual errors, right? And in a different scenario, even if the technician has identified the alert, he is not sure how to troubleshoot or fix the problem. To give you an example, let's say you are monitoring your SQL database, and that database holds very critical information for your business. So you are taking a backup of your database every 12 hours once. In case if the backup fails, an alert is triggered to your L1 technician, but the technician who received the alert doesn't know how to connect to the particular DB, or even if he has connected, he doesn't know how to take a backup database. That is a huge problem, right? So that's where the artificial intelligence within the product can help you, where you can trigger a script automatically from application manager, which can in turn execute the SQL database job, and in turn it can take the backup of the DB. So in application manager, you can monitor the SQL database, as well as inside that you will be able to identify the backup age, and once it has crossed 12 hours, the tool itself can manually execute the program for you and take the backup. So this will easily avoid any human intervention in between and save time. Also, application manager has the intelligence to avoid any unwanted alerts in your environment. Like if you are having multiple false positives, those type of alerts can be easily avoided by having polls to try option within the product. Once you have reduced the noise of alerts that you're receiving, you can pinpoint what is the exact root cause of the important alerts that you have received. And during your RCA, if you have noticed that particular issue is happening repeatedly in your IT environment, then as I said, you can make use of the automated action available within the product so that you can avoid any human intervention. So apart from that, as I told you earlier, in application manager, we support almost more than 100 plus various reports which are inbuilt into the product. And of course, we have used the artificial intelligence and our own proprietary algorithm for machine learning techniques. So these algorithms are used to predict your oversized and undersized servers in capacity planning, and also the forecast planning. Like you can predict what will be the usage of the particular resources in your environment based on the past history of the monitored information. Also, I would like to touch upon like why it's important for you to provide a seamless digital experience to your end customers. So this is a recent survey we found in browserstack.com, which says almost like 47% of the customers expect your page to load within 2 seconds or less. And 40% of the users abandon your website if it takes more than 3 seconds. So this shows like even a 1 second delay in your page response time can cause 7% reduction in the leads which you are bringing in for your business. We all know like how much do we spend to bring in a lead, right? So when we calculate it, 7% of the leads which you have spent is not getting converted as a customer just because of one delay second in your page load time. So that's how important is for you to monitor your digital experience or your websites in Application Manager. Okay, so I'll just give you this example. This is how a typical war room looks like, okay, where a user is reporting your website is slow or your application is slow. Normally, we will have different layers, right? You will have the backend database, which is serving as the important functions needed for your website. Also, you will have the front-end application. And of course, you will have the physical machine or the VM where this application and database is hosted. And you will have the network layer. Since these different layers are involved, you will have different teams to manage them. Say you will have a DBA team who manages the database, who will say that everything is perfectly fine with my database. There is no problem which is contributing to the slowness of the application. He might ask, talk to the application team. And the app team will say, see, the memory usage is so low and the server is not allocating enough memory. Talk to the server team. And maybe the server team will point to the network team mentioning that there is a network delay or network packet congestion, etc. So they keep blaming each other instead of isolating the root cause and fix the problem. So we can't blame them because they don't have the clear visibility where exactly the problem lies. So that's where using Application Manager can help. In Applications Manager, we have something called as real browser monitoring, where you can record and play back your script again and again to identify if there are any failed transactions. For example, I have a web page where I just log into the page, search for the product, add the product to the shopping cart, make the payment, and log out. So once I record this entire transaction, Application Manager can do the playback of this transaction again and again. And if any of the step fails, you will receive a notification immediately. Let's say if the payment gateway API which you're using has failed, and if you're not aware of that, it can create a huge business impact, right? So these type of alerts or alert can be easily identified if you use real browser monitoring. Also, some of our customers use this RBM monitor to compare their own website's performance with their competition. So they want to check how fast is the web page loading and how soon are the customers able to buy the product in their website when compared to the competition. So these type of comparison can be easily helpful. Also, if they want to introduce any new features, like if you want to introduce a sales bot or a tracking API into your website, you can verify this RBM by analyzing the before and after the change. So it will give you the clear cut information like how much response time has increased or decreased. And this RBM agent can also be deployed in different branch offices across the globe. So if you have different data centers, you can do the monitoring from each and different locations. So it will give you the live stats from that particular location where you're doing the monitoring. Also, we have this tool called Real User Monitoring. So as the name suggests, the Real User Monitor can help you identify the real-time user satisfaction level of the customers. So it will give you the details about who are the users who are currently connected to your website and from which location are they connected across the globe, what ISPs are they using, and from which device are they accessing your website. Is it a mobile device or a laptop or a desktop, etc. And it will also give you the details about the browser that the customer is currently using to access your website. So this information or the insight which you get can help you find if you have any problem with a particular ISP or a particular DNS server where it takes more time to resolve your web page and one set of particular customers are affected. So those type of issues can be instantly identified if you use the real user monitoring. And we also have this powerful tool called Web Page Analyzer, which can help you find the page speed, score, Also, we give you the suggestion of what is the improvement you can take on your website, and it will give you a beautiful domain summary, like what are the elements that are added in your website, and if you have any images, videos, or scripts, how much time that each element is taking to respond. And these days, like, hacking is very common, right? In case, suppose your website is getting hacked, and if something is changing in your website, it will immediately notify you, so that you can take preventive actions and save your brand reputation. So by using these type of monitoring together within your environment, it's very easy for you to help your IT team to be more productive and end the blame game between each other. So thank you so much for patiently listening. And if you have any questions, feel free to ask them. I will be available in the chat panel to answer them. And I'll hand over the mic to Ashwin, who will talk about the network connectors now.
Thank you, Bijoy. Hello, everyone. Good morning. Hope you are having a good day today. My name is Aswam, and I am going to take you through 3 topics for the next 15 minutes. So these 3 topics will revolve around the bandwidth bottlenecks, how do we deal with the configuration management, and how do we see the risk vector, and how do we deal with the risk vector in a network. So in an overall concept, if I say, we are trying to have a better grip over all the network operations, starting from application, servers, the data center applications, data center equipments, as well as the network. Now, if I take any problem, any network related problem, I start with the application, because that's the face to your employees or customers. When a customer or employee is trying to load an application and it is performing slow, then there could be 4 major possible root causes. The first one, maybe the application itself is performing slow because of the database queries, or the codes, or the content in the website, or the server where you have hosted this application, that server is not performing well, maybe due to a high CPU utilization or high memory utilization, or the server itself is low performant. The second possible cause, the first one, the server and the application part, we have covered in OP Manager and Application Manager in the previous 2 sessions. Now, the possible root cause, the next one could be, at the time the employee or the customer is trying to load this application, maybe there is a high bandwidth utilization happening, there is a congestion on bandwidth, that could also cause on slowness. The third possible cause could be, somebody may have done some misconfiguration that is triggering this issue, misconfiguration on your network devices. And the fourth possible cause could be, maybe the network has been breached, some attack has happened, and that is causing the issue. So the first one, we have already understood how to deal the servers, the network devices, availability, response time, and their activity, performance activities through OP Manager, and then the database application front end and back end monitoring through Application Manager. Now let's see, how do we troubleshoot the bandwidth congestion. So when there is a bandwidth congestion, ideally, if the network admin has a complaint that maybe due to high bandwidth utilization, the applications are performing slow, then we have to identify why there is a problem, and how to troubleshoot that. To troubleshoot such kind of issue, there are 3 steps. The first one, find out who or which part of the network has been affected. And the second thing, once you identify who and which part of the network is affected, you need to identify the source of the congestion. The source can be a particular interface of a router or a firewall or a switch, or the source can be a particular application. The source can be a particular IP that is trying to download a lot of things maybe that time. So we need to identify these things. And then the third step is troubleshooting. So we need certain type of visibility on first step and second step, that who is doing what, to be able to troubleshoot this issue, the bandwidth issue. So how do we identify, or how do we get the visibility in the network on the bandwidth aspect, that who is doing what at a given point of time? So with this ManageEngine IT operations management suite of solutions, we bring a solution called NetFlow Analyzer, which supports all type of flow packets like NetFlow, JFlow, SFlow, IPFlow, AppFlow from various vendors. It's a multi-vendor solution that collects these flow packets from all your layer 3 network devices like your switches, routers, firewalls. It collects the flow packets, analyzes them, and then gives the visibility on these things: applications, protocols, QoS, source or destination, and conversation. So when there is a spike happens, let's say at a given point of time, you receive a complaint that the network is very slow, and you identify there is a high spike on the download or upload traffic, then you would like to understand why there is a spike, who has caused it, which application has consumed maximum traffic at that point of time, which protocols are consuming more traffic, are they business centric or non business centric, and then you need to identify if there is any non business centric applications consuming more traffic, then who is the source, who is that employee that is causing this kind of problem, and what are the entire conversation details starting from source, destination, protocol, byte in, byte out, speed, volume, all these information we want to have in hand to be able to further troubleshoot this issue. Now, coming to bandwidth optimization, this is one of the most important thing. Why? If I tell you that, hey, you have a problem with the bandwidth, then you may think that, okay, maybe I'm buying less bandwidth from the ISP, I pay a little more and buy more bandwidth. But that's not going to be the solution. At times you may be able to go ahead and buy more bandwidth, but that might not suffice if there is a problem or there is a leakage happening within the network. So we need to identify what kind of activity is happening, and then tune the utilization of the available bandwidth as best possible way to be able to give more priority for the business centric activities. Let me give you an example. Let's assume at a given point of time, some people of your organization are trying to send an email, and and there are another group of people who are trying to open YouTube at the same time. Which one do you think will be more? Uh, which one do you think to give more priority at the same time? Do you want the people to send the email? That's more priority, or people who want to open YouTube, that is more urgent? Definitely, it is the email, which is my business. I want the email to be passed first compared to YouTube. So I want to block the YouTube or drop the packet of YouTube at that point of time and pass the email, right? Like that, in any organization, you will have business centric application and some non business centric application. So you want to set certain type of appropriate traffic shaping policies to be able to filter the unwanted traffic at a given point of time. So you want to control the unnecessary bandwidth utilization that way, and also you want to give priority for certain type of application. Now, applications are not only priority that you want to give. Let me give you another example. In an organization, you may have HR team, you may have finance team, you may have development team, you may have a testing team, you may have customer facing team. Now, which team do you think needs more bandwidth, more priority on the bandwidth? Of course, it's the customer facing team because they are talking to the customer. Customer cannot wait. Customer will not like a jitter on the line. HR team can wait. Finance team can wait. But customer facing team needs priority on the bandwidth. So we should be able to create groups with respect to departments or sites and then provide priority accordingly, so the business runs smoothly and does not create problem due to bandwidth misutilization. Now I'm moving towards the attacks. So when I say attack, the moment I say attack or security, one thing comes to our mind is firewall. So we all have a firewall in a network, right, to protect it. But then uh, still attack happens, right? Even though you have the strongest firewall of whole world, you still cannot say that I am attack proof, right? Attack happens. But when attack happens, that means the firewall has already allowed it. And after the attack happened, firewall did not detect, the attack is going to do some kind of traffic activity within the network, right? So what we do, we learn the pattern and the behavior of the traffic flow of certain type of attacks, the known attacks in the world, and try to alarm you, try to trigger an alarm to you that, hey, maybe this kind of attack has happened. Let me give an example. Imagine my laptop that I'm doing the presentation on. If this laptop receives 15,000 blank UDP packets in next 3 minutes, I repeat, 15,000 blank UDP packets in next 3 minutes. Does that sound normal? Absolutely not. It's abnormal. And what kind of attack it could be? The symptom, the behavior is like a denial of service, right? So what my solution does here, it analyzes, learns the behavior of the packet flow, and based on your threshold time, it syncs with the existing the rules that I have within the tool and triggers an alarm saying, hey, I receive a pattern, a behavior of denial of service. Go ahead and check. This is the source, this is the destination, this is the protocol utilized. Go ahead and check. So I just not rely on the firewall to let me give me protection. I can also get idea from the behavior of the traffic flow and get alerted as well. Now I'm moving towards the configuration management. So configuration, when I say, it's all about the network devices configuration. So you have the switches, firewalls, routers, load balancers, all these things. And who deals with the configuration of this? Our network admins. And we network admins are humans, right? And human does error, does mistake. So this misconfiguration is super silly. That happens. Nobody cannot say that misconfiguration doesn't happen. We have seen one of the largest organization in the past face the disruption because of misconfiguration on a network device. And it's very simple to do a misconfiguration. Example, if you are trying to allow traffic from a web server to a database via a firewall, all you have to do is write a rule in the firewall to allow traffic from a source to the destination. Source is the web server, destination is the database. So source EQ, the web server, destination EQ, the database. Instead of writing EQ in the command line, if you just write NEQ, then the whole story changes. You literally allow everybody else to access the database except the web server. So doing a misconfiguration is super simple, but to recover from there, if there is a misconfiguration happens, a damage happens, outage happens, how soon do I come back? That's my resiliency. So how do I set a proper resilient system to come back, to bounce back? The solution is simple. What Gartner says about it, Gartner says 80% of the total outages impacting mission critical services are caused by people and process issues. People, we understand, we are the human, we do the mistakes, and there is a process as well. So the whole people and process problem, to solve it, there is only one solution. That is, if you have a backup of the configuration. You can restore it the way it was before, and that's the only solution that we have. So how do we back up? So we are the human, we are the network admins, right? So every time we are going to make a change, that means add, modify, or delete on any network device, we are supposed to take a backup and then do the change. We all agree with that. But we are the human, we are the network admin. We do mistakes, we may forget. So the manual backup is the thing that I was talking about, that we are supposed to take a backup. The second thing that my solution offers is a scheduled backup, that you can set a reminder, you can set a scheduler that, let's say, every Monday morning, 9 o'clock, go ahead and take the backup of all the network devices and keep it for safety. But the third one is important here, the one which is called as real-time change detection using syslogs. That means every time somebody logs in to the network device, makes some changes, and then log out, my tool is going to sense that maybe there is a change happened. Let me go get the backup. So every time someone logs out from the network device, my tool is going to take a backup of the configuration. That means you are ensuring that every change has a backup, and these backups can be used to restore whenever it's required. Now, the next thing is, how do we allow the people, the network admins, to make changes? You will have some senior ones, you will have some junior ones in your team, network admin team. So you do not want everybody to get the entire control to be able to make the changes. So you want some kind of approval mechanism or authorized or unauthorized way of changes. So once you have my tool, the ITOM, Manage Engine ITOM solution implemented, this tool expects you to make the configuration changes only via my tool itself. And if you do that, I'm going to take the backup. I'll also help you to restore, but still you'll be able to log in through a third-party tool like Putty and make changes. If you do that, then also my tool is going to take a backup, but it will mark it as unauthorized change. Why? Because if you use any third-party tool to log in to the network device, that tool and that login can also be compromised. So what I do, I go ahead and take the backup, mark it as unauthorized, so the network admin who has the access to my tool can go ahead and verify that change and then mark it as authorized. That is one step. The second step is, if somebody wants to make a configuration change, they can raise a request that so and so changes are required, and that will trigger an alarm to the network admin of my tool itself for cross verification. It can be verified, approved, or rejected, and all these activity will also maintain a track in your ticketing system. If you have Service Desk Plus or ServiceNow, whenever there is a change request raised, it will create a ticket in your ticketing system, and once the configuration change request is approved, the configuration change will happen in your network device, and the ticket will also be closed. This will maintain as a record. Now coming to the vulnerability. So let me ask a question. How many of you feel happy to make the firmware upgrade on your network devices? How many of you are happy to do the firmware upgrade? I'm pretty sure everybody is nodding no, because it's not an easy task. But there will be situation when you will be forced to upgrade the firmwares on all your network devices. When the vendor releases some vulnerability on the particular firmware that you are running. So example, you are running some Cisco devices with Cisco iOS version 11.5, and Cisco releases a note saying this version of the firmware has so and so firmware vulnerability. Then you will be forced to upgrade the firmware of those devices. And imagine you have 100 of those devices. It's a painful task to go ahead and upgrade the firmware on 100 devices. But for that, I bring the solution as automation. We call it as configlet. You can actually create the automation for these time consuming repetitive bulk activities. You can create a script kind of thing where all the tasks, for example, go and check what's the version number now, and then go ahead and copy the file through a TFTP server, and then execute the image file, and then reboot the device, and then check the version. These are different activities that you do during a firmware upgrade. All these activities can be written as a script and select the multiple devices, 100, 200, how many devices you have to upgrade the firmware on. You select all of them, and this is going to upgrade the firmware on all of them one by one and give you a report at the end. You can also automate many simple tasks. Example, let's say you are asked to go ahead and change the SNMP community string to a secured one, and you have 500 of them, 500 network devices. You have to log in into each of them to do that. Instead, you can create a configlet that go ahead and change the community string from public to a secured one, and then select the number of devices, push it. It'll change, it'll make the change automatically. Now coming to the reports, my favorite one is the first one, the EOS report. It'll give you a report on your hardware as well as firmware, and let you know that how many of your devices are end of life or end of support declared by the vendor. This report gets updated automatically. You also get report on startup configuration to running configuration conflict. So if you are going on a downtime, you are going to do some maintenance, you are going to reboot your network devices, you can do the synchronization of all your running configuration to startup configuration in one single click. So remaining other things like configuration changes, user activity tracking, hardware inventory, device audit, trend reports, these are all predefined reports available. All you have to do is put in your filter on what you want to see these reports, and can be exported as PDF or CSV. Now moving towards the security vector. So when I say security vector, again, the firewall is the one, right? So we monitor the firewall logs, firewall syslogs, and give you the user internet activity report. We also let you know the real-time VPN activities, how many VPN sessions are active, who is doing what on the VPN session. We also give you the security posture of the firewall and give you the idea about the rules, firewall rules and policies you have, to help you audit them time to time. So when it comes to rule auditing, we have various things in that, like policy overview. It gives you the idea about how many policies do you have, how many are allowed policies, how many are denied policies, how many are overly permissive policies, how they are structured. Those information you get to know. Then you also get policy optimization, where we let you know how many unwanted policies you have, unwanted rules. Like let's say the rule number 1 says allow everyone to access HTTPS, and rule number 2 says allow only ASWIM to access HTTPS. You don't actually need the second rule because the first rule does the job. That's a redundant rule. Like that, there are various different type of anomalies. We identify them. In the rule cleanup, we help you to identify the unused rule and get them cleaned up. You have rule reorder to understand which rules are getting used the maximum. In the rule impact, you can actually simulate a new rule before writing it on your production firewall and see how it is going to impact your network. And if you want to push the rules to your firewall from my solution, it can be pushed using rule administration, and it will remember the change for next 6 months. So in case you want to revert it, you can roll it back as well. We also come up with some predefined compliance standard reports like PCI, ISO, NERC, NIST, GLBA, HIPAA, GDPR, SOX. These reports will be readily available out of the box, and it will let you know how much percent are you compliant. I mean, your firewall is compliant compared to these regulatory mandates. If let's say NIST is 60% over there, failed count is 4, on what all the section it fails and how to solve those particular points, I give you some recommendation. So we ensure how to keep your firewall's configuration compliant to certain regulatory mandates. So that's pretty much about it, and this is the whole suite of Manage Engine IT Operations Management solution. So OP Manager helps you monitor the health and performance of your entire network. Any IP based device you got, you can get the monitoring, you can get them monitored in OP Manager. The NetFlow Analyzer in the right hand side, that helps to monitor the bandwidth utilization, who is doing what on the network. The Network Configuration Manager helps to backup, restore, automate the configuration on your network devices. Firewall Analyzer helps to audit your firewall rules and VPN and internet activity. And Application Manager helps to monitor the front end and the back end performance of the application, including your databases. And the Op Utils is something that gives you two modules. One is called as IP Address Manager, understands which IPs are used, which IPs are free, how many IPs were being used, not used now, and if there is a new IP detected or a suspicious IP detected in the network, it triggers an alarm, and that can be marked as a good one or bad one, as a rogue. And also it gives you the switch port mapper, where you can identify which device is connected to which switch port and what is that device all about, what operating system runs in that, those kind of things. So all these applications, these are available separately, or you can have everything together in this OP Manager Plus. That is one single installation, gets all the capability of all these different applications together under one GUI. That is the OP Manager Plus. So that's all about today's session. So before we move ahead, I request you, if you have any question, please put them in the chat box, Q&A box. I will address them. Also, we will run a poll about two things. One will be, how did you feel about the presentation today? Please put in your feedback there. Being 1 the lowest and 5 the highest. The other poll we will do is, whoever want to have some one-on-one discussion with the experts from each of these individual teams or Op Manager Plus, we can schedule one-on-one demonstration for them. You can raise your request in the second poll. These things, the demonstration, as well as your evaluation, these solutions that I spoke about, they are all available for 30-day trial by default. You can download them. These are on-premise. You can download them, try them during the trial. You need any assistance, we provide those assistance free of cost. We help you with a demonstration, a POC, as well as answer all your questions. All right. So I wait for your response. All right. So yeah, I move it to Christian now. Christian, over to you for to check if any other questions we have, and a thank you note from you, Christian.
Yeah, Aswin, thank you.
Yes.
And thanks to all the other speakers in this workshop. And well, I don't see any more question here, but well, shouldn't be a problem. You can raise your questions also afterwards to us or to the guys from Manage Engine. It's no problem. And well, we were pleased that you took part in this workshop, and I hope you were able to take something away from it for yourself. And as said, if you have any other questions, please don't hesitate to contact us or our colleagues at Manage Engine. And so that's it for today. We bid you a farewell and wish you a pleasant rest of the week. Thank you for taking part.